Hi everybody, this is my second video of this series of questions and answers that I call For the Sake of My Marriage. Sayaji Daniel San waxes on, makes my wife happy, so that's what we're going to call it, at least until the lawsuit with Cobra Kai. But in the meantime, this week's question is one of the ones we're asked the most often. This is specifically about our martial art and what we teach, and it's really what is it? What is Myanmar martial arts? What are the Myanmar martial arts? And why is our school called One World Karate if we don't teach a traditional karate? We started this school and called it One World Karate in a very generic sense because no one knows what Bando or Banche. Very few people know what Letway is. Nobody knows what Naban is really in America. So we basically had the choice of One World Karate or One World Martial Arts. And people tend to search from a strictly commercial standpoint. People look for karate schools, or they look for BJJ schools, or they look for a Taekwondo school. Martial arts is not usually the term they type in, looking on Google and things like that. So I kind of regret doing that now. Simply because I've come to, through the years, I've come to not like the generic, or is it a word to say generification? Generification of things like karate. Karate is specific, it's an art, it's a very specific art, and I don't think it should be made generic. So I kind of regret over the years that we've called ourselves One World Karate, but it's a little late now to change it. I am thinking if we change locations, I might actually change it to One World Martial Arts. Put a sign that says One World Martial Arts, rebrand the website One World Martial Arts, and just switch over. But in the meantime, what do we actually teach? Well, we actually teach a martial art from Myanmar. And Myanmar martial arts are called Thai. And that's the umbrella term for martial arts. And under Thai basically fall four categories. There's Bando, which is empty hand martial arts. There's Banche, which is weapon hand martial arts. Then there's Letway, which is our sport kickboxing, and then there's Naban, which is our sport grappling. And all of these are fairly separate, but there's obviously there's a lot of Banche and Bando done together. And in American Bando, ABA, the American Bando Association, which I think is in the process of changing their name to the National Bando Association of America or something equally inspired by dodgeball. And they teach a system called Hanthawadi Bando, the Hanthawadi system. And the Hanthawadi system is different in several respects to the other traditional Bando systems and Banche systems of traditional Myanmar. Now, my organization is the One World Martial Arts Federation, which I created, but the organization that I'm associated with the most, where I still train and go and, still learn for myself so that I can get out there and become a better martial artist and a better teacher, is the International Thai Bando Association, which is really based in Europe. It's based in France primarily. But that's the group I'm more associated with. I'm not really associated with the American Bando Association much anymore. I still know a lot of people there. I still train with them. And I still train in the Hanthawadi system, which is the American Bando system. That's my primary system. But I've gone to Myanmar to train in the Tang Byung system, and the Shanji, and the Shantio systems to learn that. And there are some big differences between American Bando and the other Bandos, and I'll go a little bit into that here, but that's probably a whole other question. Bando systems are a complete integrated system: stand-up striking, trapping and grappling, and ground fighting. So in the Bando system, you have all that. In the Banche, you do all that with weapons. And then Letway is a sport kickboxing, which is an amazing kickboxing. For the layman, we say it's a lot like Muay Thai, but headbutts are legal, no gloves, and you win by knocking out your opponent or making sure they can't go on. If both of you are standing at the end of a traditional Letway match, it's a tie. So you win by knocking them out, you lose by getting knocked out, and it's a tie if you're both standing at the end of the fight. Headbutts, elbows, knees, leg kicks, no gloves, just wraps. That's Letway. In my school, we focus on Bando and Banche. We wrap in some of the Letway and American Western boxing that I've been taught, and we wrap all that into one program. So our program is primarily the Hanthawadi program, but we wrap in some stuff that has been taught to me from the other systems as well. For example, we have one of the forms or akas we learn in our school is the 5-point basic form from the Tang Byung system, so that my students get a little access to other ways of thinking and other systems and other theory. One of the big differences in theory is that the Hanthawadi system is basically self-defense oriented from the beginning. It's sport and self-defense, and the art follows that. And as you get older, you get into even more art, and then you want to get into the yoga and that kind of stuff that the Hanthawadi system teaches for health. But in the beginning, in the 1950s and 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s, sport and self-defense is what it was all about. So over in Myanmar, their systems start with the basics of their most important weapon, the da, and then everything comes out of the sword, which is called the da. So all of our systems are what are known as universal skill set systems. You should be able to throw a punch, put a stick in your hand and throw the punch, put a blade in your hand and throw that same general technique, so that your body's memorizing a basic set of movement patterns that you can then adapt to the weapon in your hand, rather than learning a whole new set of movement patterns. A lot of systems are similar to that. We take it fairly far. I mean, we take it to the point where you should be able to throw your short punch with a stick, a long punch with your stick, the uppercut with your stick. We create a stick punch because you can't throw the hook with your stick, and that's pretty serious. We try to take it pretty far. Our footwork is very similar, no matter what. And to get back to it, Bando is a complete comprehensive system. And in our school, we do Bando and Banshe, and we put in some of our Letway. What little Naban I know is, you can sum up the amount of Naban I know in the palm of my hand. I probably know as much Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and as much Greco-Roman wrestling as I do Naban, which is to say very, very little. Most of my grappling is through the Bando system, such as the python moves and chokes and locks. But I've made sure to go out and at least do seminars and learn from other instructors of other arts that do grappling, such as BJJ, so that I'm teaching quality fundamentals and basics when we go to the ground to get in and out, to supplement the python and the bond that I know. So that's our system in a nutshell. We come under the umbrella of Tang. It's a Myanmar martial art. We call it Bando because that's the empty hand, even though we do Bando and Banshe, which is weapon, and we roll in some of the sport as well. That kind of sums it up. I think that pretty much answers it. If you have more questions about Bando or anything more specific, I'll be happy to answer that in another question later. But that's where we're at, that's who we are, and that's what we teach here. I'll sum it up with this. When people say, what is Bando like? I say it's kind of midway on the spectrum between real hard styles like traditional karate and more soft and circular styles like kung fu. We're kind of in the middle there. We do linear, we do hard, we do circular, small circles work, and so we're kind of fall in that thing, except that we also work from long range to in close to traveling to down to ground and back up again. All right. Any questions? Feel free to put them in the comments. Any comments? Feel free to put them in the comments. And that's who we are, One World Karate, probably going to be changing to One World Martial Arts here in Austin, Texas. Thank you so much. Talk to you all later.